kids in the home. And he was running the most legit research cannabis operation that he could legally. He had bought his tax stamp. He had filed with the Secretary of State as a research center. And he was studying the effects of cannabis on different people using it. So this is becoming pretty blown up, and it's hitting the media. And we are holding rallies in support of him.
Oh, right.
So this may be the case that finally establishes a medical defense for the people of North Carolina.
And let me get back to our audience for just a second. My apologies with our remote setup here. The first
I heard
of our interview was muted there, so I think we've got it fixed now. But we're talking with Rebecca Forbes from the Carolina Cannabis Coalition, and the fight there to try to get some sort of medical act passed in the state of North Carolina. Now, I've been watching North Carolina politics not just for the medical bill, but there's been all sorts of bills that have gone through the legislature lately that have been pretty reactionary. How do you feel about your chances moving forward with the state of your legislature right now?
Well, the beauty of this is that I met the man behind the Moral Mondays, Reverend Barber, not too long ago, and I actually looked at him and said, do you think that medical cannabis is something that you'd be willing to fight for? And he actually told me to make an appointment with him, that Moral Monday has blown up so big, and he's traveling so much that I haven't been able to run him down. But we had 10,000 people show up in Asheville this past weekend for a Moral Monday event. And yes, North Carolina voters are disgusted. They have taken voting laws back to unconstitutional status here. They have cut education funding. They have cut unemployment. They are enforcing the drug testing for welfare thing. It's just horrible what's going on here, and people are finally waking up, and I'm loving seeing the thousands of people protesting outside our Capitol. I think it's marvelous.
Yeah, it's about time that people, especially in the southern states, are starting to fight for these measures and to get some sort of sensibility there. It's a lot of people in reform kind of write the South off. They have a feeling like it really can't happen. It's going to have to happen in other states before the South will ever take this up. But now,
I've heard the statement that North Carolina will be the last state to ever do it. But I don't believe that. I really think that if they would sit down and get educated, that would change.
Yeah, and we're meeting so many strong women down there that are starting to fight. Yourself, we've got Sharon Ravert in Georgia.
Yes,
we've got Loretta Nall in Alabama. So I know
Kathy Jordan in Florida.
Yes, I know that this fight can be won, and I know there's going to be strong women like you that help win this fight. If there's people out there listening that want to get involved with you guys and help you out, can you give them some contact information?
Well, a good way to get involved is if you're a woman and you want to get involved in this is Moms for Marijuana International. You can find them on Facebook or do a Google search and find them. You can also support the local chapters. The Georgia Care Project is a good one if you're in Georgia. Here, the Carolina Cannabis Coalition or NCCPN on the state levels. If you want to support changing federal law, you can come to D.C. with us in April. So there's a lot people can get involved. And if you are in the closet and your job depends on you not saying anything about cannabis, donate. Help those of us that are on the front lines, like Sharon, myself, Kathy Jordan, and some of the other powerful women down here. Help us. And help us have the power to travel and speak and do what needs to be done.
You know, Rebecca,
I know Sharon's filming patients today, and that's why she couldn't be on your show, which is awesome.
Yeah.
She's out working.
That's right. And that's what it takes. And Rebecca, I often say that there's, 3 ways that people become activists. Number 1, they get busted, and so they want revenge. Number 2, they get sick, so they want medicine. Or number 3, they just intellectually can't handle the land of the free treating our people this way. In which camp do you come from?
All 3.
All 3. Okay, tell us a little bit about what.
Well, back in the 90s, I'm in a movie for it. My family was busted for growing marijuana. raided several times over several years, and they finally got us with enough to put myself and my ex both in prison, take our child, took our home, vehicles, money, all of it, wiped us out. And then I actually quit smoking cannabis for 10 years because of that. But then I got sick. So I learned about medical marijuana from Jean Marlowe, another huge North Carolina activist that's kind of out of the scene because she's not feeling well. But I learned from her about the medical and started smoking cannabis after 10 years and actually stopped the use of Oxycontin smoking cannabis. So that was my first experience with medical cannabis, realizing, hey, there is some validity to this. Because I was always just a rec user. I was healthy, I was young, and I was a rec user. So that was my experience with medical, but I also am on the side of, if you're an adult, you have every right to roll up a joint. If we can drink alcohol, smoke cigarettes, and take some of the legal pharmaceuticals that we're given, there's absolutely no reason why an adult shouldn't be able to roll a joint and smoke it.
Absolutely.
So I'm really in all three camps. And I'm in the hemp camp. I'm in the industrial hemp camp, too.
And, you know, coming from North Carolina, that's a pretty important statement, because I understand that, was it in Raleigh or Asheville where they built the hemp houses?
Yes, the first hemp house built in the United States was built by Greg Faval of Hemp Technologies, who has left our state with his business because they were so rude to him. It was built by the ex-mayor of Asheville for his child, because a hemp house is the safest environment for a child that has severe allergies, because of the non-toxicity of that environment. And so we do, on historical record, we're the owners of the first hemp house in America. North Carolina is.
Yeah, and so that's been something that's been on people's minds. And another thing about North Carolina is it is one of the 6 states that has decriminalization that doesn't have medical marijuana. How has that decriminalization affected people?
I wouldn't consider this decrimmed at all. I went the other day and looked at the normal site for penalties, and they've actually increased penalties. I was a little shocked at some of the penalties, especially for extracts and things like that in this state. They call themselves decrim because, and the reason being is that a few years ago they rescheduled cannabis here to a Schedule 6 drug under state law, meaning it has a very low potential for abuse. But they didn't really change the penalties much. We tried 2 decrim bills to get them to lower, like, simple possession penalties to a $100 fine, and both of them were shot down. We tried the last 2 years to get them to pass further decriminalization, but they won't do it.
Yeah, and part of what's going to make the change here in the South is getting activists educated and understanding what the fight's all about and how best to move forward. One of the ways that we do that is through seminars and presentations and festivals. And I was just down in Georgia for the Southern Cannabis Reform Conference in February. I'm wondering...
Yeah, where I met you.
Yeah, are there any future conferences for the region coming up that you want to tell people about?
Well, I just spoke at the first Asheville Normal event. It was wonderful. It was at a brewery that had a really nice outdoor stadium in Black Mountain at the Pisgah Brewery. They plan on making that a yearly event, so that's something to put on your calendar for next year. There's also Cannabis Camp coming up here that I'm speaking at October 7th, 18th, 19th, and 20th, I believe. If you want to go to the CCC page, Carolina Cannabis Coalition.webs.com, I'll be putting some information up about that here in North Carolina. But it'll be the first Camp Cannabis for the medical people. So this is basically more geared towards what the patients need and what the patients want in this state. There's a lot of people educated in this state now. We even have politicians using cannabis that are in the closet. Because there's definite validity to the medical. We just can't get the politicians to pay us any attention.
Well,
the ones that are against us.
We'll get that changed, and I know that you're working hard to make that happen. Rebecca Forbes with the Carolina Cannabis Coalition and all the groups working there in the South. We appreciate you more than you can know, and thanks for joining us here on the Russ Belville Show.
Well, I'm real excited about speaking at Seattle Hemp Fest and filling everybody in about the good old sunny South.
Yeah.
So I'll see you there, Russ.
I will see you at Hemp Fest. Thank you so much, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right, thank you.
All right, folks, time for us to take a little break. When we come back, we'll have time for a radical rant on the situation in Washington State, medical versus recreational marijuana. Can it last? Be right back.